What? I got a chess piece on my head. What? That doesn't even make any sense. What does that even mean? Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Never mind. Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys very much for telling me I had a chess piece on my head. You know, I went ahead and took care of that. Yes, we do have round 4 of the Sinquefield Cup. So I got you with the Nepomniachtchi game versus Wesley. So, and of course, as you guys probably know by now, Magnus Carlsen has withdrawn from the tournament completely. So, yeah, it kind of caused a little bit of some issues because some of the players that played him, their games basically don't count now. So, I mean, for the ratings, it counts. But, so, I mean, I don't know if you guys caught it, but that Hans Niemann win over him yesterday was pretty crazy. Cray. But anyway, for all my people coming from the Philippines, I will say mabuhay to you. Magandang umaga, magandang hapon. Maraming salamat po sa nanonood ng aking my video. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Anybody who is coming from Russia, I would say privyet, kakadela, dobre otra, spasibo for coming by and taking a look at my stuff. If you guys are ready to go, man, let's take a look, see what we got for this game. Bam. Gotta get my volume up. All right, so we got D4, knight to F6. We got C4, E6, knight to F3, D5. So, I mean, this is something that I see like all the time. We got the move G3. And we are in the Catalan opening as part of the Queen's Gambit declined. We do see the move bishop to E7, and then bishop comes to G2. We got castles and castles, and then one of, you know, the popular moves, pawn takes C4. And you kind of have a point here. You know, probably by far the most common move that you're going to see is going to be queen to C2. You know, you also have a queen to A4, knight to E5. You know, you're pretty much just trying to get the pawn back immediately, because if you take too long, you know, black is going to try to do, you know, some of this here, especially a C6 and a B5. And I mean, they might just hold on to their pawn, bro. You got to be careful. So queen does come to C2, and we do see B5. And What's the Show says, hey, I'm playing with fire right now because, as you guys know, this bishop is very dangerous on this diagonal. So you have to play a specific way. And Jan is like, bro, I know the theory to this stuff, dude. I'm going to get you. So he does play the move A4, which is suggested. And then we do see the move bishop to B7. You have to cover that rook, man, because it's kind of dangerous if you don't. So we do see the move pawn takes B5. So we have gotten our pawn back. It's a different pawn, but we have restored material equality. So we do see the move A6. We got knight to C3. Then after the pawn takes on B5, you see rook taking AA, bishop taking AA, and then you do now see the knight taking B5. And everything is still, you know, equal. But, I mean, you do kind of have a little bit of fire on this particular pawn. So black has to kind of be careful. So to defend against that, we do see the move bishop to D5. And then we do see the move rook to D1. Another way that you could have definitely played it for sure after we see bishop to D5 would have just been bishop to F4. And then you might would have seen something like bishop covering on D6. Moving the bishop to G5, and then knight B to D7, and then the knight down to D2. As you guys are probably aware, you know, they're pretty interchangeable, you know, variations. But I wanted to highlight when you do play the Catalan in these types of situations, you are trying to get in a position to where you can push the move E4. Especially if you can push E4 in this particular situation, you know, you will have E5 coming pretty soon after that. And, you know, forks and things are possible. So, you know, this is definitely like Catalan maneuvering. But like I said, we did see rook over to D1, which is also a good move to make because, I mean, you know, if this pawn is taken away somewhere, you know, we do have this queen looking mighty scrumptious. So we do have the move knight to C6, and then we do have a queen over to A4, and then we do see the novelty of the game, which is queen over to B8. And I mean, you know, Wesley's just saying, if you forget about this knight, you know, he could come over to my side, and we'll be good to go. So we do see the move knight to C3. This just frees up the queen to move. And then we do have the move queen to B6. Not only are we centralizing the queen, but, you know, we are kind of trying to defend our own knight because it is kind of sitting lonely on that square if this bishop is removed. So we do see the move E3. And so something that I wanted to kind of highlight in this situation, you remember what I just talked about a second ago as far as like trying to maneuver so that you can get the move E4 in? Well, basically what black has been doing with their moves and things like that is trying to prevent this move as much as possible. So with the bishop here and the knight here, you actually aren't really able to do that now. You'd have to like move the rook back. So after we do see the move e3, rook goes over to b8, knight takes d5, pawn takes d5. As you can see, black has set their position up in such a way that even now you cannot push the move e4. You would have to move rook over, knight would have to go back, and then you'd have to try to set yourself up for that. But the moves that black is making is they are attacking d4. So it really makes it really hard to try to do those things that I just mentioned, because you'd have to basically undermine the protection of this pawn. So, you know, black is making things, you know, very kind of tough for white to do. So what we see in this position is knight to e5. We're saying, hey, man, you want to trade me here? We'll do this situation. Knock your knight away, and then we do have a pawn. So the queen does go back to a7. And, you know, we are offering a trade. And it might look kind of strange because it looks like that knight is hanging on c6, right? Queen takes c6. So I hope Wesley has a plan, because that's a whole piece, bro. He does have the move rook to b6. And you have to ask the question, did I just reach... Did I just get caught reaching into the cookie jar? Is my queen trapped, bro? I mean, where can I go? All of these squares are all completely covered. So, I ask you in this position, if you would like to pause the video and try to see what move. There is one move that you can make in this position that might make things okay. Go ahead and pause the video and try to see if you can find that move. Okay, so I really honestly feel like, unless you've seen this game already, I don't feel like anybody's getting this move. I mean, I feel like I would have just probably took the rook myself and just been like, crap, man, what am I doing, dude? I just literally just like lost my whole queen. The only move that you can make in this position that gives the queen an escape square is the move b3. And that is what Nepomniachtchi found in the game. And I really feel like this is just his theory. This is him preparing this, because b3 is like a really, really hard move to find when your queen is literally dead. So you give black the option to either like capture your queen or to allow your queen to escape, which is what actually Wesley does in the game. He does go bishop to f8, and this is allowing the queen to escape, and then so the queen backs up to a4. Like I said, you had to move b3 because then that does allow for the queen to be able to, you know, make some kind of escape. But if we back up, I know you guys are interested. After the move, you guys go to b3. I know you guys wondering, like, well, I mean, what happens if I take the queen? Because like that's juicy, right? Well, you're thinking, okay, the rook's gonna take, the knight's gonna take, but I can get out of this, and I got a queen, right? Well, I'll show you what that looks like. If the rook does so happen to take, I mean, this is definitely not like a bad move for black to make for sure. But if you do take on c6 with the rook, you would be looking at knight takes c6. And as you guys can see, there is no way to defend that bishop on e7. That's going to be just bye-bye. The queen will probably go to a8. You got knight takes e7 with check. The king goes over to f8. Knight takes d5. Knight takes d5. And then pawn takes c4. And that is what makes b3 even crazier. Because after you give your queen away, all of this gets you to this point. And you are literally going to be in a situation where you have a queen against two bishops and a rook. So you guys already know the computer is like, white has a slight edge. It's crazy. It's just really dumb. And then, I mean, you're going to be giving up this pawn probably at some point. But, I mean, white even has an extra pawn after all of that. Or even two pawns. So it's like, I don't know, man. I definitely don't want to be Nepomniachtchi, you know, giving away another pawn and going into this. Or I don't want to be really Wesley because I feel like two bishops and a rook are just completely winning. But I mean, that's me. Like I said, the computer's like, oh no, everything's good. But you know how the computer is. Ridiculous. So we did get, like I said, in that position where the queen did come back to a4. We see the move rook to a6. We see queen up to b5. We see rook over to b6. We see queen to a4. We got rook back to a6, queen to b5. Rook goes to b6, queen to a4, rook to a6. And we have drawn the game by an actual threefold repetition here. Now, of course, you know, well, no, you couldn't have. Because if, let's say, for example, you get back to a4, right? And you try to do this here, this completely doesn't work now. because the bishop has saved itself. So you just think about this particular situation. You got young Nepomniachtchi and Wesley. So super duper knowing their moves, man, because, you know, like I said, bishop going back to f8, you know, really, you know, it takes away from the possibility of forking the bishop and the queen. So super duper accurate play by both. I feel like both players, even though I'm not a lover of draws, both players did really kind of deserve the draw here because they played probably just about as good as you can play. Of course, there's always going to be like a better move here or there, but I mean, for two humans to play, I mean, they played a really, really very equal game, and they avoided all of their opponent's tricks. So this is a really Malaka C. Wesley. So at Yan Nepomniachtchi. So I appreciate everybody very much. Maraming salamat aking makaibigan. Spasibo, and I'll see you guys next time.